What radio? The music you want.
With your host, Keys Dan.
I'm afraid you're just too darn loud.
RadioWhat.com.
What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, DJLittleRock.com. Coming up in the program today, Rashard, Deshon, Washington. Kind of excited to talk to him. He is a local Conway guy, made good, a local musician, local talent here in Conway, Arkansas. And I get to go speak to him face to face. So we got to look forward to that here on the program today. This week's shows for me, my public show, my one and only public show this week is over at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. That's the Rab, my regular Friday night gig. Usually you'll find me there on Friday nights doing the video dance party karaoke jam. Friday night at the Rab starts at 8 o'clock. They got the full bar, kitchen. They got the pool tables, pool tournament going on. So if you want to maybe make some money on a Friday night, you can get involved with the pool tournament. It's all geometry, baby. Learn some math, get the angles right, put the balls in the holes, and you could probably you have a chance to make some money on a Friday night, the pool tournament at the Rab. Also on the party patio, more stuff to do. There's the foosball tables. There's a shuffleboard, giant Jenga game. And there's also, a checkers game out there. And I think they have darts too. So there's a whole lot of stuff to do at the Rab while you're waiting to have your chance at stardom and be on the stage and sing your karaoke song with little old me over at the Rab, Conway, Arkansas. 8 o'clock until almost 2 in the a.m. Be there Friday night. I'll wait for you. No, we start at 8 o'clock. Be there. All right, without further ado, let's get into this conversation with Rashard, Deshon, Washington. Hey, I get to go visit him at his house. Let's travel over to see Rashard, Deshon, Washington now. Mr. Washington, goes to podcasting. Mr. Washington, Rashard, Deshon, Washington. Make sure I say that properly. Make sure that I say that correctly.
Yes, sir.
Hanging out in your humble abode in Conway, Arkansas. Man, tell the people, give the people on the What Makes You Famous podcast a little synopsis of who, well, I don't even know what to call you. Start with what to call you and what you do and just a little bio of who you are, man.
Well, like you said, my name is Rashard Deshon Washington. Most people call me Deshon. Family and close friends call me Rashard. Doesn't matter. I was born, I was raised up in a small town of Bigelow, Arkansas, Houston, Perryville. I didn't even know, because what I do now is I'm a mobile expert at T-Mobile. So I sell phones and whatnot. But, it's just a good 9-to-5 job to pay the bills. But something that I always do is music. And I didn't even realize I could do music until about, I'd say 2015, maybe. I was always in choir, but, I always thought it would be just a singing thing. And then that'd be it. So I'm still new to the game, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So Rashard is family name. Deshon is stage name.
Yeah, it's my middle name, but
it is your actual middle name.
Yes.
It's a fantastic name, man. and I'm guessing family gave you that, probably mom or dad, or who gave you that name?
It was my mom. We have a lot of our family has D's as the start of their middle name. My mother's name is Dawn. My brother's name is Dion. like his middle name's Dion. A lot of my cousins' name is like Devon or like Daisy or something like that. And so it just I was just one of the long lineages of people with D's in their middle name.
No, I like the alliteration, man.
Yeah.
Get all the D's all together for one photo. All right, Deshon, Devar, Daisy.
Yeah.
Come on, yeah. And so, growing up in a small town, how was life in Bigelow, Arkansas? Let's start off with where you're from.
Ain't gonna lie. I mean, it's a great place. A lot of people knew each other, but I started going to school, kindergarten and first grade there, and it was rough because even though it's a small town, everybody knows everybody. It's still kind of like a racy type of town. And I mean, every town has its good and its bad, but as a kid growing up on the bus, I was called a lot of names that would be way inappropriate to say on this podcast, and very derogatory names out of my own name. And so, like going kindergarten, first grade, I kept getting called those names on the bus. Didn't know what that word meant. We're going to refer to it as that word. And so, after first grade, like I was like, well, I don't know what this word means, and so I told my mom about it, and she dealt with it in her own way. I'll never forget how she dealt with it, but yeah, she dealt with it in her own way, and she said, "We're moved." You want me to tell the story?
Tell the story. You can leave all the naughty parts out. No, hey, I'm from Miami, man. A big melting pot. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody loves everybody. You have to get along. There's 7 million people all living in one city. You have to get along, or else it's going to be a fire. You know. But I got here to Arkansas, and I experienced pretty much the same thing. I was like, what is all this? Yeah,
it's a whole different world here in Arkansas.
How did Mom take care of the situation?
So, it was a kid. It was a teenage Hispanic kid on the bus, and he was sitting next to a Caucasian kid, and he was at the front of the bus. And the way that the bus driver made the bus was young kids in the front, older kids in the back. And so, like, it'll be like because it was small town, high school kids and elementary kids basically went to the same school. It's just two different buildings right across from each other. Graduating classes up at Bigelow are like 30 people, and compared to Conway, when I graduated, it was like 603. But so the teenage Hispanic kid was right behind the bus driver, and so that's where my assigned seat was. But whenever those two kids got in trouble, I was the only one that didn't have like a third person sitting next to me and my friend. And so like my friend moved, and then both of them had just sat there until I found another assigned seat. And so on the way to school and going back, they would try to, as a kid, I wouldn't know what a friend really was, like a true color kind of friend. And what I mean by true color is like somebody who's looking out for your best intention, like actually being nice. But they were being fake nice and like making jokes, but laughing. And so I was like, oh, they're just cracking jokes. And then they would start talking about me. After a couple of days of them still being behind the drivers, they started calling me that word. And so I didn't know what that word meant, but I heard it before in a bad sense. And I was like, I've heard this before, but they seem like my friends or whatever. And I was like, maybe they mean it in a good way. And so after so long, I went to my mom, and I remember I was sitting on the porch at my granny's house. It was my mom, my granny, and my uncle, my two uncles. And we were just sitting there, and it was just a casual conversation. It just popped up in my mind because I just got off the bus. And I said, hey, Mom, what does this word mean? And the whole conversation just stopped. Everybody just went silent. It was like, why are you asking about that word? And I was like, well, when I go to school, these two kids, they call me that word, like not just once a bus ride, but like multiple times. And so my mom was like, where do you sit? What do you mean? And so I was like, I sit right behind the driver. And she was like, my mom was like, does the driver not say anything? I was like, I don't think she hears. I don't know. And so she said, my mom said these words. She said, well, tomorrow I'm going to deal with that. And so I was like, okay. I mean, all right. I didn't know what it meant. And then, like, right before I went to school the next day, the night before, she was like, just go to school normal. Don't let those kids call you that word. If they say that word, tell them to stop. And if they don't stop, don't worry. I'm still going to take care of it. And so she didn't know that the kid was a teenage kid who had gotten in trouble and had to sit behind the drivers. She thought that the kid was like another younger kid, like my age. I was around maybe 7 or 8. And so me and my uncle rode the same bus because he was like maybe, I think he's 10 years older than me. And so I was in 1st grade, he was in 11th. And so we rode the same bus back to the house. We came up the street to get to the house, and I had called back to my uncle, and I was like, hey, do you see Mom at the end of the driveway? And he was like, I do. And my mom is my uncle's sister. And so she was at the end of the driveway, and she was like, you know, he's holding a drink in her hand. I can't remember if it was like a water or whatever, but she was holding a drink in her hand. She came up on the bus and told me and my uncle, said, stay where y'all are at, and then called me up to her and said to the bus driver was very startled. I'll never forget. It was like a whole movie scene. And so she had sunglasses on because the sun was hot that day. And she looked at the bus driver. She said, so there's been another child on this bus calling my son the N-word. And it seems that you're not hearing it. So I'm about to figure it out myself. And so the bus driver said, well, I don't, want no trouble or anything, so go ahead. So on the whole bus full of kids, we were like the second stop, so only like 2 kids got off. She yelled out on the bus, she said, all right, I'm Rashard, Washington's mom. I've heard that one of you have called my son this word. And so she said, say it now, who you are, and we can deal with it. And so she was looking around, nobody said nothing. She said, okay, Rashard is the person on the bus today? I said, yeah. And she said, point to him. And I pointed right there, like not way in back of the bus, not in like, the middle of the bus. It was right there behind the driver's seat. And it was the, kind of chunky Hispanic kid. And so she looked at him, and she said, so you've been calling my son the N-word. And in his tracks, this was the first time me seeing somebody like actually lie. He was like, no, ma'am, I wasn't. I was calling this kid the N-word. And it was the other Caucasian teenager that was sitting right next to him.
Right.
And so it was like, in my head, I was like, no. Well, not even in my head. I looked at him and said, no, you don't call him that. I sit in the middle of y'all. That way y'all don't fight. And both of y'all just call me that. Like, I guess I'm your peace of mind, the little man in the middle, because y'all joke about me, but the reason y'all are both up here is because y'all fought. And so my mom looked at the driver and said, he's sitting right behind you. How do you not hear it? She said, well, the motor is going on. And she cut her off so quick. She's like, I don't want to hear no excuses. And so she said to the kid, she said, if I hear you're calling my son that word ever again, it's going to be some problems. It's going to be some problems, not for you, not just for you, not for just the both of you, but for the school and your families, because we're going to have a problem. And she said, do I make myself clear? And they both said, yes, ma'am. She said, if I have to come on this bus again, it's going to be some repercussions. And she said, let's go. We walked off the bus, and that's a story that I will never forget. At family gatherings, we talk about it a lot because it's funny now. It was funny back then because when we got off the bus, like my family, we joke around a lot. And so they were like, my mother's name is Kim. They're like, Kim, I know you didn't just get on that bus and do that. And she was like, yeah, I did. And I'll do it again. Nobody's going to call my son that. Matter of fact, we're finna move.
So, Rashard, any repercussions from that? I know you're a 7-year-old kid. You're following your mom's directions. You point right at the kid. Did anything happen after that? In that time?
No. I had got back on the bus the next day, and they were sitting there, and I looked at them, and they looked at me, and for some reason, I guess with talking to my mom the night before, I had a different kind of look because I wasn't just like the happy-go-lucky because I knew it was a bad word, and I was like, and she told me that night, she was like, look, they're not your friends. They're calling you names. They're being super mean to you, and if you try to like be nice or smile around them, they're gonna keep doing it, thinking that they're gonna try to trick you and say, oh, well, we didn't mean it like that. Your mom's just thinking like that. So she said, go on the bus the next day and just have a stone cold face. So she taught me a face that I now do whenever I don't want people to like mess with me. It's just, the eye, as we refer to it as a family. It's an eye that like if she gave me like in the convenience store or like Walmart or something like that, I would sit up straight and act right. Mm-hmm. And so when I got on the bus, I had my backpack on, I had looked at them, and I wanted, I had some other friends around that I knew in my class, and I wanted, like, hey, what's up, guys? But everybody was like, hey, Rashard, are you okay? I didn't say anything, and I just looked at the two, and I said, my mom's coming. My mom's coming for you. And they were like, I forget the bus driver's name, but they said, Miss, can we go to a different seat? And
so, yeah, this story is letting me know and letting the listeners know that Rashard, at an early age, 7 years old, in first grade, Rashard, you lost a little bit of your childhood right there. You had to grow up a little bit.
Yeah, I did.
You learned a thing that kids that age should not know. The world should be a happy place for children, all the way till teenage life. Really, you should be able to shelter them, take them to be. If you can't take them to Disney World, be Disney World. Make them feel good. Let them play. Let them be happy. But this took away some of your happiness. And you told me a little bit in that story of why. You told me how the kids were seated in the bus, where it was younger kids in the front and the older kids in the back, which makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. And then you had these two older kids in the front. And all through the story, I'm wondering, why are there those two older kids in the front? And you told me, you said it, they were fighting. So they were already problem children.
Yep.
So the bus driver knew that these kids were doing something. And she should have been more vigilant in that respect and keeping an eye on them and making sure that the little kids were protected. Little Rashard, little baby Rashard, man. No, I know I'm making light of it, but this is a thing that needs to not happen. All right, this is bullying from a young age, and it caused a little pain, but maybe a little creativity came from that. Okay, that's a little piece of heartache. How did you deal? Okay, and you already alluded to it. That mom said, not only are we getting out of the situation, we're moving to another city. Where'd you go?
We went to Conway, Arkansas. So I finished first grade there, and then the next summer we stayed where we were at. We were staying with my granny at the time because my mom was finishing nursing school. So we stayed at with my granny, and then we just relocated to the Conway school, Jim Stone.
Yay, mom's a nurse. Mom's a nurse. My mom's a nurse, and I was an EMT for a long time, man. So I can appreciate the medical field, people helping people.
Oh yeah.
So how mom, obviously tough lady, and takes care of the kid. Now, only child or?
I have a brother.
Brother, okay.
Yeah. He's 10 years younger than me.
Younger, wow,
yeah.
10 years younger. How was that growing up?
You can see the difference in generations. Whenever, because I always wanted a brother, and I love my brother. It's just seeing the difference between both of us, because as a kid before my brother, I was like, I see two kids in the household. Even though one's older than the other, I'm pretty sure the parent raised them exactly both the same, like probably the same age, same words, same phrases. It's not like that. And then I would ask my friends after, when I was 16, I was like, does your parents do the same thing with you as they did with your older brother? They're like, no, my brother or my sister always says you got it easy, because for some reason after the second child is a lot more relaxed in the household.
Yeah.
And so I'm when I was a kid, it was a lot of tough things, a lot of tough lessons being taught. But I mean, I don't see as much now, but I still being taught. She's still, you know, a tough love mother who like does everything for us, but it's different with the discipline. You know,
I'm the oldest child of 3 in the house. I had a younger brother, a younger half brother, and a younger stepsister that lived in the house. Mm-hmm. And I know, yes, I was only for the first 3.5 years of my life an only child. You were for the first 10 years of your life an only child, but they always treat the oldest just a little bit harder.
Yeah,
it seems, because they really haven't learned how to be parents, or man, they want to protect you. They want to make sure that you're doing it right. Listen to me. I'm going to beat your bottom. Listen to me. Hey, my mom chased me down the street with shoes, sticks, whatever she can handle if I was getting out of line. I don't know how it was. All right, first 10 years of your life, you're an only child. How was life? And you got to Conway 3 years before you had the brother. So 7 years old, you get to Conway.
I mean, it was, first 10 years of life, it was good. It was nice. I mean, not a lot of ups, not a lot of downs, but like a lot of ups, I guess I should say. There was nothing really wrong. First 10 years of life, I had a lot more Christmas presents.
All right. But, Conway, Arkansas, slightly bigger city than Bigelow. Bigelow probably had less than 1,000 people in it. And then Conway, Arkansas boasts 50,000 people on the sign that I've seen. And what year do you think this is that you're coming to Conway?
I would say 2004. Yes. 2004.
Because you're quite a younger man than I am. Yeah. I'm 50 years old, and I graduated 86. So 2004. Tell me how life in Conway, your experience going to a bigger city, did it feel better? Were you treated at least a little better?
I was treated a lot better. Accidentally, again, the innocence of a child, I told a teacher, what had happened and why I had moved. And I told her in like confidence. I didn't tell her in front of the whole class. And I told her that, and she was like, stunned by the fact. She was like, you're never going to get that here. And so I'll never forget her name. Her name was Mrs. Jones. And so she always, made sure I was okay, made sure I was, had everything that I needed, and helped me like pass the first part of elementary, like 2nd through 4th grade, like with straight A's, all above 95s. Like she asked me, did I have these type of grades at my old school? I said no. Like there was a time in 1st grade where my 1st grade teacher had handed me the test back, and I had like, a 62 on it. And I looked at my friend, and he had the exact same answers as I had, and had like a 95. And so I was like, I asked the teacher. I remember asking the teacher, I was like, hey, he got a 95, I got a 62. Like, was there anything wrong? She was like, well, I just didn't like the way you answered the questions. Was it essay questions, I guess? Or no, it was multiple choice, and it was some spelling. And I spelled the words right. Like they asked, like, what's the definition of this word? And I would say, say it was a cat. I was like, it's 4-legged animal, feline. Right. She didn't like how I spelt it, meaning the way I wrote it, which means like your penmanship. Yeah. So like my letters and everything didn't look as good as my friends next to me, but we wrote almost the exact same things. And so for penmanship, you lose 38 points. Yes, a lot of points. Yeah. But it was again that school. I mean, I'm probably sure it's a lot better now. My cousins graduated from that school like after I had left. Sure. And so, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a lot more better than it was. I'm not gonna say like real super up to date, but hopefully it's better than it was when I went. Yes. But with Conway, it was like a whole bunch of new people. Like the people on the bus at Bigelow was 5 times as small as the classes I was in, because I was used to just being in one class in Bigelow. Being in that one class from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. when we was going. But when I got to Conway in the elementary school, I had like 5 classes in the same day.
And you're changing classes. Mm-hmm. This is going from small town to a slightly bigger town. I don't consider Conway a huge town, but maybe medium-sized, small to medium-sized, the college town. So you were having to switch classes in grade school. This is unusual to me. I always felt like, I grew up in Fort Lauderdale, and in grade school in Miami, and I always had one classroom all the way to 6th grade, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But you had to switch classes.
Yeah.
How did that feel? How did that make?
It was different because I kept seeing different people. It was never the same people really in the same class. I'd say about every class had 80% different people. And so, like, I had a reading with Miss Lawrence, I had home class with Miss Jones, and like it was science, I can't remember the science teacher's name, but we had different subjects with different teachers, and like everybody taught different. I would see new people every day, and it was so much bigger. At the time, I was very taken aback.
Rashard, it makes me think that it was harder to make friends and develop relationships, deeper relationships. It's not just with the teacher, but also with the students next to you. I figure if you have the same classes as a younger person, you can develop better friendships. But if you keep having to switch, what? Or am I just projecting?
With some people, like, I saw that, they would come to class and leave class. And that was basically it. Like, when I mean that, like, I would see them when they come in, sit down, and then my focus would be on the teacher, and I'll see them when they got up and left class. Basically meaning, like, they would never stand out or, like, ask any questions, or they would just be there. Mm-hmm. They would do their work, get up and leave, and they weren't really, like, energetic about anything. No kid, I didn't like school, but no kid liked school. But like me going to a bigger school, even when I was at the smaller school, I was very like active and very friendly with anybody and everybody. And so at this school, the only thing that changed was the amount of people I could be friendly with. Mm-hmm. And so the playground at Gemstone was smaller than the one I had at Bigelow, but it had like 3 different recesses. And so like I got to see a lot of people, got to sit by a lot of people at lunch. Yes. And so going out with friends, like they were all people coming up to me first instead of me coming up to them. And it was like a new thing.
Well, it was good. That sounds like friendly.
Yeah,
it sounds like they were wanting to be friends with Rashard.
Yeah, it was. It's super friendly, and like
that's good.
Even like maybe it wasn't just me, it was just them being like, oh, there's a new kid, never seen him.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to be the new kid. You get to reimagine yourself, reform yourself. Yeah. I was only the new kid, I think maybe 3 times, and I tried to reimagine myself, but I always ended up being the the fat white kid, or half Cuban, but I always passed for the white kid. So, yeah. But Rashard, we're growing up with Rashard Deshon, Washington, man. We're learning a little bit more about the background, how you developed as a human being, and so this is up through grade school. Tell me more if you have any more.
The years coming, like there wasn't much changes.
Develop any friends?
I had a friend. His name was what was his last name? His name was Ben. Okay. But his last name is escaping me. We were friends from 3rd grade up until about 10th grade. He moved. But I remember, I'll never forget a conversation we had in 5th grade. We were going over, it was Black History Month. Okay. And so we were going over things. And so, like, there was a time where, like, the teacher was really laying into the history and, like, actually saying, like, this was bad, not a lot of good stuff happened. No. Like, if there was any good, it was because it was agricultural, and she would say something like the farming industry was booming which is good for the people, but it was a bad way to go about it. And she said, like, if everybody was free and everybody was doing the same equal amount of job work and it had the same, agricultural, type building and booming, it would be better. But the fact that people enslaved other people to do that was bad. And so, like, she would hold no punches and she would go into it.
Right.
And so, like, I didn't learn that at Bigelow. Black History Month, I had 2 Black History Months at school at Bigelow. We didn't do nothing. We just said, hey, it's Black History Month, February, and then nothing. And so going to Conway, when I hit 5th grade, they would start talking more about it because, 2nd through 4th grade, just trying to make sure you being a stable kid. And then 5th grade, like, they said that, and it was like a couple of days later, like, it really went in and made me be like, dang, like, this is what happened, And so me and Ben, we were going to PE, and we were talking, and he said, man, I just want you to know, I don't care what color you are, because if we were friends 60 years back, I will still treat you the same as we are now. And I was like, I really appreciate that, We don't know how it would have went down 60 years ago because we weren't alive, but, like, him saying that let me know that he was, like, a true, genuine friend that really just didn't see my color. I went from a school that obviously saw color and did not like the color to a city that was like, I don't care what kind of color you are, just as long as you're good people.
Yeah, so, I grew up in Miami, like I said, and I had black, white, red, brown. Everybody was in the same class, and I didn't know that there were different colors until really close to high school. And that's how it was back then, and I wish that everyone grew up that same way. Now, you were talking about Black History Month, and then you alluded that Black History Month started with the history of when black people, African Americans, came to America. Is Black History Month ever taught where, hey, let's talk about Africa? Let's talk about, the beginnings of life.
It has been.
Okay, good. I don't know the curriculum lately.
Yeah, it has been hit or miss depending on the teacher and how far back knowledge they have.
Right.
But even the teachers that didn't have that much knowledge, they would say, let's do some research. Like, I remember 11th grade, we did a history topic. It was go online. I'm going to assign you an African country. Do as much research as you can, and you're going to do a 5-minute presentation about it. And this is the criteria. You got this, and this. You got to cover all of it for a good grade. And so that, like, for people, because most people that know African countries, they either say South Africa or Egypt or stuff like that. But, like, she would give us countries that we didn't even know this was the name of a country.
Right.
And so there will be so much more to not only learn yourself to tell, but, like, see how the people, if they could tell you good things about them. There were good presentations, there were bad presentations. The good ones taught a lot more than bad ones because they did a lot more research. They wanted that A, so they told everything. But, like, even the bad ones made you want to be like, I'm pretty sure there's more into this country, and you want to do research. So it was doing that helped a lot with, like, knowing about Africa and then what happened before and then whenever we came across seas. So it's, it helps.
Oh, it's amazing to me how many people still think Africa is one country. What?
Yeah.
I'm going to the country of Africa. There are so many nations in there, man. And it's not just South Africa or Ghana or Nigeria or Ethiopia. Ethiopia has so much rich history in it,
it does.
And Egypt even is in Africa, so you got to know the geography of things, man. There's so much culture there. And I met a lady at the beginning of this week. Her job took her to 2 separate countries in Africa, and she told 2 completely separate stories about each country. Said, man, these people were like this, and those people were like that. And I was like, oh, all right. So it's not all the same. It's the difference between the United States and Mexico as opposed to the United States and Canada. United States and Canada, pretty much the same. United States and Mexico, pretty different, even though we're right next to each other. So what did you learn? What was your presentation, if you remember any of it, to parts of Africa?
I believe my presentation was over Egypt.
It's one of the first songs I ever played, Egypt.
Yeah, I remember that song. My basic, like my whole topic around it was, yes, it's an African country. Because most people, like they say South Africa, Madagascar, Ghana, Nigeria, they'd be like, oh, those are African countries. But like people think Egypt is just a whole different world of its own. And so...
In some ways it is.
Yeah, it really is.
There's so much history there, it's been lost over time.
It's a lot. I remember a couple months ago, actually, I was at work, and a lady came in from Egypt because she was teaching English there. And so one of my coworkers was like, oh, like what country is that in? Like, you know, well, not country, but she was like, what continent is that a part of? Is that Europe or is that like South America? And I like looked at it, I was like, do you not know Egypt is Africa? Like, you know, and she was like, well, I thought it was just something like a part of its own self. I was like, no, geography.
Geography hard. I still don't know geography. Even in Conway, I don't know geography. Conway, Arkansas is where we're at.
It's tough driving here in Conway. There's not a lot of great drivers here in Conway. But yeah, my topic was like Egypt is an African country, and here's what it's about. And so, like, my bullet points were the history, the present, the like economical, the financial, and the people, and like their practices. The history of it a lot, like, you know, basically was the pharaohs and, you know, King Tut and them and everybody. The present is that they're so much more far, like, advanced than they were. I was just trying to pass. So I was like, my basic stuff. I was like, they're much more far advanced than they were. They still, you know, the pyramids of Giza, the Great Pyramid, like the people are incredibly nice. Like I don't remember everything from my presentation.
Sure.
But it was about 5 bullet points. And I made each bullet point last about a minute 30 with nothing but like each slide each topic had about 3 slides to it.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to tell as much as I can because we had 2 weeks to do it. So it was like 2 weeks I can get so much.
Yeah.
So. And
you put effort into it. You put some facts out there. What I really have to know, and what the listeners are probably asking, which aliens built the pyramids?
I'd say the aliens of not the Milky Way galaxy, but there is a star out there that you know, they say life's out there. They've been, you know, 115 super Earths, so we're looking for those super Earths. Maybe from one of those Earths, the aliens did build that pyramid. So. All
right, Rashard, Deshon, Washington, we're learning about outer space with you, as visited through Egypt and building pyramids. I know, I just brought that up as for fun. All right, man, you're a little kid and you're doing your schoolwork and you're trying to be a good kid and you're getting along with Ben. Yeah, good friend Ben. All right. And all right, what happens after you get into middle school and high school, and when do you start getting your extracurricular activities and learning things, how to become an adult human?
Middle school, 7th grade was a little rough for me. The only reason why I say rough was because, like, I guess that was the grade where I was trying to, like, I guess, quote unquote, find myself. I tried to go with the bad crowd, like, because I was like, well, you know, they seem like the cool kids. And so there was a time where, like, for a good 3 weeks in a row, because they had said something, they was like, you know, washing clothes is stupid and whoop whoop whoop. And so there was this light, like, super light blue jacket that I love. I cannot find it. But there was, like, a white shirt I would wear every day. I would get on the bus, I would wear the same white shirt, I would wear the same blue jacket. I would switch up pants because I was like, I don't want to be in the same pants. But Yeah, I wear the same white shirt, and then I got like a small stain on it. And so my mom kind of took notice that I was wearing the same stuff, and she took me to school one day. She was like, "Is that same shirt you wore yesterday and the day before? How long have you been wearing this shirt?" And I was like, "For about like a week and a half, 2 weeks." And she was like, "What? No, I should take you home right now, but I'm going to let you go to school with that stain on your shirt, and people are going to ask questions."
I don't even want to ask about the underwear, man.
No, I changed the underwear. It was just the main stuff that I was like, well, up here, like, I mean, why do I have to change clothes every day? Like, I'm just going to school, but that was because of that bad crowd. And I remember it was a pep rally, and the choir was singing the national anthem, and so I was at the top risers with them because they like to sit in the far back. That way they could do whatever they wanted to do. And so when they announced it, was like, all right, and the Carl Stewart Middle School Choir is going to sing the national anthem. Like, I mean, we all went, yeah, choir stupid, yeah. And so, like, I was thinking in my head, probably everybody else as well, was like, they're going to sing the same note of the national anthem, just like in unison. And it wasn't. It was harmonies, there was melodies, there was different ways to do it. And myself, I was like, that's pretty cool. And I was like, and I love to dance. And so, like, my biggest influence on music was, like, James Brown, Michael Jackson, and Prince. And so, like, they all are great performers and entertainers. And so I was like, man, that's cool. I was like, if I could sing like that and put harmonies and everything, like, that would be great. But with the wrong crowd, they was like, oh, man, choir's stupid. And I was like, is it though? Like, is it really stupid?
Yes.
Like, I mean, they can sing and they make people feel with what they did because they made me feel. And so little by little, I started like distancing myself from that group. And so about 8th grade, it was about, I'd say October. No, I'll say September, October. I was just like going back to my normal friends again. They were like, what happened? I was like, I was dumb. But I remember getting approached by Alexis Fisher and Trayshana Johnson, and they had asked me, they were in choir at the time, they were trying to recruit for choir because the choral director, Mr. Husky, he wanted to like get more people in choir. And so during recess, they came up to me, they was like, hey, Rashard, you like sing, right? I was like, yeah, like I'll sing a little bit. Why? They was like, you should join choir. I was like, what? Like, why? And so they was like,
you still thinking about the bad kids? Bad choir, stupid.
Yeah. And I was like,
you were torn.
In my head, I was like, y'all sound so great, but I don't think I can sing. I was like, dancing is my thing. They're like, well, just come to choir. If you like it, you can stay. If you don't, you can go. And so I went to choir, introduced myself, and Mr. Husky had me do like some like vocal exercises, see how high I could go, see how low I could go. And he told me, he's like, I'm going to make you a bass, like a bass 2. I was like, okay, I don't know what that means. He's like, you're just going to sing the lowest notes of the song. I said, okay. And so after so long, I loved it. Like, there was 2 friends I made, Terrence and Evan. Both of them, like, we was a close-knit group of the whole choir. And so I was a bass, and they were tenors. And so we would like, there was an event where we had to basically sing a song by ourselves, and we picked our friends who we wanted to sing with, and we like got together real quick. We sung Boys to Men, Song for Mama. And so like after that, I was just like, man, like I didn't know. I was like, hearing people do this is great, but being in the same group and hearing it like right in your ear is a totally different feeling.
Yes.
And so like,
this all a cappella?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fantastic.
And so we went to a thing called All Region. And what All Region is there's different regions of the state where choir kids go and compete, basically. And so they get either top 20 mixed choir or top 20 male and female. Top 20 mixed choir is what you want to get in because that means you can go to state. And so in 8th grade, I was just in time to join. I had a lot of learning to do really quick because I wasn't even like a part of the choir yet because I didn't even put it on my schedule. But I made a free period for 3rd period just so I could go to choir. And so they fixed my schedule in the 2nd semester. But I went to All Region and I got like 14th chair, which was crazy for somebody who just came in a month ago to learn the music.
How many chairs are there?
It's 20 chairs
Oh,
in
okay.
mixed choir. So like making 14 chair.
Pass right up a few.
Yeah, like because male and female choirs is usually, you know, for the beginners who's like they got a grasp of the music, but it's like not yet right to blend in with everybody. But the people, because when you go to All Region, you go into a room and there's a person that says, you know, this song, accompaniment only, and then you sing over that. There's a blue sheet, and I remember it's always the blue sheet of death, because you never know who's on behind it, you never know who's in front of it if you're the judges. And so that way, because you could have the same, you know, teacher at your school behind that blue sheet, you won't know until after. They won't tell you what room they're going to be judging, because then they're going to know your number. And they could be like, oh, this is my student, I'm going to rank them high. So the blue sheet of death was like, you could be in your class just top notch and the best, but once you get in front of 200 other kids, you don't know who's behind that. And your teacher, who's like, oh, you're the best, will be like, oh, no, this is not good. And, you know, and it would only be them boasting you in class to help your confidence, but once you got behind that sheet, it's nothing. And so I made top 20, made 14th chair. And so after that, my choir teacher was like, man, like you actually like have something with this.
Right. What grade was this?
This was 8th grade.
8th grade.
And
All right.
so I could have went to state, but it was too early for me. He was like, this state's a whole different level of region, states with everybody. And so I didn't go to state, and kept going to choir, and we had a spring concert, and then like right before summer hit, he pulled me, Terrence, and Evan to the side and was like, hey, there's this thing called choir camp. It's called ACC Choir Camp, Arkansas Choral Connection. And I want y'all to go. I'm going to pay y'all's, you know, tuition to go. It's a week-long camp from Monday to Saturday. You practice songs all through the week, and Saturday you have a concert. And he said, I'm going to pay y'all's way to go. And I was like, all right, cool. And so I didn't know that it was like $300 and something bucks. But he gave a scholarship to us. Certain choir directors could give scholarships to certain students. And so I went, and it was my first week of 2011. And well, it wasn't 2011, it was 2011. And so I went. It was the greatest week of my whole year. I'm a counselor now at this camp. But the first week I went, I was just having fun, doing everything. I did the talent show, I danced and everything. They was like, you're like one of the first people to actually do something other than sing at the talent show. But that was because I wasn't confident in my singing.
Right.
And so like I was in a lot of, they take videos, there's camp videos, and so whenever the camera was, like, if it was on me, like, I would, like, be, like, super energetic, and not just because, like, to just bolster around. I would just be, like, having fun. Like, this is fun.
Right.
So we get away from home with 400 kids, and it's, like, just a fun time. And so I remember the concert day, I was sad to go. I was like, oh, I don't want to go. Like, I'm singing this song, and it's going to be it. And so somebody's calling me. I'm like, not. I know who's calling me, but they announced, it's like, well, we have scholarship winners. There's a honor camper and an outstanding camper. So the honor campers got $100 to return next year. Yes. So if you came back, if the price was $350, you only had to pay $250. And so it was my first year as a camper, and I was like, I'm probably not gonna get no scholarships because it was my first year. But I ended up getting outstanding camper, which is a $200 scholarship to come back, and I was like, wow, like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big thing.
That had to feel good.
Yeah,
you got accolades.
Yeah, it did, because it was like I said, it was my first year, and I was super excited. I was like, me, like, out of all the people, because it was 7th through 9th grade, and then 10th. No. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12 and 13s. if I believe. It's one of those. And so, no, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 through 13. And 13 was the grade. 13 was the grade as like you just finished high school and you're going into either college or whatever you want to do.
Yes.
So I got the 7th through 8th outstanding camper. And so it was amazing. I was like, wow, like this is great. And I told my mom, she was excited for me. We went to Genghis Grill to celebrate.
Oh,
and
that's
so
nice.
like the next year I was super excited to go back. I was like, oh, I ain't got to pay that much money, and I got $200 off. That's great. And so went through the next year, the same thing, dance at the talent show, but I did like a different type of dance. I did a dubstep dance.
Okay.
And so I was like, man, like, you know,
What was the first type of dance that you did, 8th grade?
like freestyle, like, you know, just dancing
moving
around. Yeah.
Yeah, to the beat of the music. Mm-hmm. A little pop and lock, maybe?
Yeah, trying to. I was thinking that I could dance back then.
Thinking James Brown, Michael Jackson, Prince,
Yeah.
still in the back of your head?
A lot of that. And
Now-
so
Yeah. Now, previous to 8th grade, you alluded to it in the beginning of the podcast. Did you have any musical training? You said you sang in church a little bit, maybe? Anything where you stood in front of the church and sang?
no,
Or just
not
singing
at all.
along with
singing
people?
Singing
Singing some
along.
hymns and gospels. All right.
I would just
Continue.
go with them.
We're going to 9th grade, man. You're a star already.
That second year camp, I got outstanding camper again, $200. And they said like it usually doesn't happen twice, like at all. Twice, you don't get it twice. And so I was like very honored to get it twice.
Right.
And then the third year,
Well, that happens a lot, even in the what is it, the Emmys, the Grammys, when they get Best New Singer. You hardly ever hear of them ever again. Usually,
Yeah.
that's the kiss of death.
Yeah.
You know, it's just been in my
because
experience.
it's so
over
much
the years.
pressure
Yeah.
to be better than
You
that.
had your whole life to make that first album, and you made it great. Now you got a year or two to make your next album. Do just as good
Yep.
and better.
Yep.
Oh no! So you're doing fire 2 years in a row.
Yes.
Excellent.
It was like a whole new thing, and like ever since then, like every year at camp, like when I was a camper, it was like I was just looking forward to that. The UPS truck would take a long time to ship the DVDs. We go from 1 week in July, and we wouldn't get the DVDs until like middle of September, and it was just a hard time because I was always looking forward to the DVDs. But
Well, those 400 kids that are in school with you, or at camp with you, did you get to see them in school, and did they treat you different, or was that your troop, your group of people?
like, yeah, in a way, but those kids at camp were kids from all over Arkansas, sometimes
Yes.
different states.
Yes.
So seeing people from different cities like kind of opened up the world to me a little bit more. It was because I saw people from Atkins, I saw people from Texarkana, there was one girl who came all the way from Dallas because she was just looking up choir camps, and we were the first ones to pop up. And so like I remember one year there was somebody from New York because they wanted something like way out the way, and then they came 3 years in a row after that. So it's a life-changing camp because now I'm a counselor, and I would, even if I moved halfway across the world, I would make time for that 1 week because next year I think is July 11th through the 16th. It's one of those, and we're doing the 90s theme. So it's like every year is a theme. I remember my first year was Frog Stock. So it was like Woodstock. Yeah, Frog Stock.
Frog stock. Okay,
So-
so you're doing music from the 60s, maybe?
Well, yeah, kinda, but it's like basically like a hippie type of week. Like a lot of it, we made tie-dye shirts. People, the teams were made of people that were like very 60s, 70s related.
Yes.
There was Frog Stock because the mascot of the choir is a frog.
Okay.
And so there was Frog Stock. There was game night. Basically like having games, like game related teams. There was Disney. There was I can't remember. There was Disney. There was some other ones. It was a road trip, like taking a road trip. So there was New York as a team. There was California as a team. There was Florida as a team. And so last year It was what was the theme? I can't remember the theme from last year.
Well,
but
Rashard, it sounds like summertime was a big part of your life. How about the school year? How was it after 8th grade? After you went to this camp, did you feel a little bit taller in your shoes a little bit?
Yeah, singing in the camp boosted my confidence in singing in a whole. Because 9th grade was like my first introduction to like musicals.
Yes.
And so I saw Hairspray was like one of my first musicals that I ever saw. And I was like, man, this is a great musical.
Yes.
And so 9th grade, they were doing Hairspray as a musical at Conway. And so I was like, at first I was like, I don't want to do it. But I had my girlfriend at the time was going to try out. She's like, you should audition. Like, you like to dance. You like to sing in choir now.
Do it.
Which is new. Yeah, she's like, you should go. And the director, I call him Mr. S because his last name was always hard to pronounce, Mr. Speardigalozi or something like that.
Okay.
He was playing around with me because my girlfriend asked him, was like, hey, is it still time for him to audition? I was wearing a Homer Simpson shirt with him wearing headphones. And he was like, well, I like your shirt. I'll go ahead and I'll make time if you want to audition to sign up. And so I was like, so we were both like prepared to just get backup roles. Like we were like, all right, we're gonna get like backup or like stand background characters.
Right.
And I auditioned, and my choir director, Mr. Husky, he was there, and he told the director, he's like, look, you need to cast him as lead because I sung and my acting. He really loved my acting, and then my dancing was like, I didn't need you to tell me 5 different times what this move was. Like, I could see you do it once or maybe twice.
Yes. And
then I could just follow along with the music. Like, if you do it with the music and I'm like, all right, choreography, let's do it, and I would do it quick. And so they had like a little, not I say argument, but they had like a little, both of them had opinions.
Right.
And it was basically, usually seniors get the leads.
Well, yeah, and Hairspray, I know it's about a girl and then her mom, who's generally played by a guy.
Yeah, John Travolta.
And even before that, it was Divine, a famous, drag queen, drag star.
Yeah.
So, what lead is there for a male?
I mean, like Seaweed.
Okay.
And Link.
See, I don't know the movie as well. My musical is West Side Story. There, I said it.
So, like, Hairspray is there's Penny, there's Link, there's Seaweed, and there's Tracy. So those are the big 4 leads because you see them a lot throughout the whole movie/musical. Uh-huh. And so they told my choir director was like, cast him as Seaweed. And you can get an older person as his understudy. Mm-hmm. And being an older person, like maybe like a junior or a senior, being a freshman's understudy was a little something to be upset about, a little salty. Mm-hmm. But I became friends with the person that was my quote unquote understudy. Later found out that he wasn't. It was just somebody that was just there to be like, hey, if you mess up, I'm gonna take your part, because they assigned him to do that.
Well, that's what an understudy is.
Yeah.
If you can't do it, then they got to take over.
Yeah, but I've later found out that he never was learning my part. The director really just hired him on. He was like a background character, the understudy was, but the director hired him on and be like, hey, if you tell him if he messes up, you're going to take his part. But you're not going to take his part because Mr. Husky and everybody else just believes that he's going to, do good. I still have my doubts. Uh-huh. And so, my first year in the musical, didn't know what was going on.
Right.
And so the other 3 leads, Penny, Link, and Tracy, were all seniors. I was the only freshman to be the lead. So I was like, this is kind of big. And so I remember the first show went over so great. Like, it was practicing it and going through the dress rehearsal. Like, sometimes it was from 4 o'clock to 7, some rehearsals, but like the week before the show, we didn't get out of school or like home until like maybe 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, because we were making the set, practicing on the set, making sure everybody's placement was good. And so like I was tired that first show. I was like, I don't even know if I can do it.
Right.
But we did it, and it was a great show. And
how long did it take to prepare to do your first show?
4 months.
4 months to prepare. And then you did a show for how many people?
I'd say the first crowd, I think they said it was like maybe 400.
Wow.
400 people in that auditorium. So it was the biggest crowd I've ever performed for.
This little baby Rashard in ninth grade, one of the leads in Hairspray, and performing in front of 400 people. How do you feel?
I was nervous, and I mean, it could. I love to act, and so it was nothing to like get into somebody else's shoes, so to speak, and perform as somebody else. But like, because I could remember the lines really quick, and I could know the lines, but it was still performing them right on cue was still kind of hard that first show, because I was like, this is the first time where it's for real. There's no, I mess up and I say, hey, can I do that over again? It's either do it right or it's going to go down in flames. And I remember the first show, Seaweed does a song called Run and Tell That. And so we were going over the cues and everything, and I was still trying to learn to count music in my head and not on paper. And so they did the lead in, and I was like, I think I got it. And then I started early. I was like, I can't see, and I had to stop. And I was like, wait, I know the beat, and it didn't hit when I sung it. I said, I can't see. I was like, wait a minute, then I can't see, and then like it went from there. And so after that, because after that song, it was intermission because it was a big choral number, and then right after that, they had to like take a little break. And so after I got off, I was like super nervous. I was like, oh no. I was like, I hope like nobody is going to say that was bad or whatnot. Everybody was like, oh my gosh, it was great. I was like, did y'all not see that I messed up? They was like, yeah, but you played it off so well. Like you didn't go like, oh no, this happened. But you were like, you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to come back. And you came back stronger.
Yes.
Because they said, they was like, your first few notes was like kind of off. And then I guess because I remember my choir director, he's like, yeah, your first notes were off when you messed up. But I think you noticed that and you were like, nope, got to make it better. And when you came back on, you came back strong. And so that was good. I feel like since you came back strong, those first few notes were erased by the end of that song. They wouldn't remember. And so like that was a great thing. And for that first, we did Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday morning, and Saturday night. So we did a total of 4 shows.
What?
It's
wow.
Whenever Conway does musicals, I think they're up to 6, I believe, shows. But when I was there, it was 4 for that first time, and it was great because I mean, Hairspray is it's a movie about race, and so like to be in a movie with that and actually my first musical be something that can be so much soul, so much power behind the message. I was like, this is great, and I want to keep doing it. So it was, it was great. First, that 9th grade was my lead into more wanting to perform and sing. That's when I kind of got into the singing.
Another pivotal year for Rashard Deshon Washington right there, 9th grade in Conway, Arkansas. High school, a freshman in high school, singing with the big kids. Yeah, oh my goodness, making the big kids, shining. Now, that's a mark of a true performer. You are your own worst critic. You saw that you made a little bit of a flub, but then you strive to be better throughout. Yeah. And how were the next few performances? Any flubs on those, or
no? I would say no intention. Like there were flubs,
right?
But it always seemed intentional because there was one. Because the musicals and the movies, they kind of they don't stray so much or stay so much on how the movie was. The musical is different whenever you're like in front of live people, and so. There was one time where we were talking about chicken and waffles. There was a scene, and so I think it was the last show. So like basically, everybody who's seen this show has seen it, and they just want to see what we're gonna do.
What do you do with it? That's right.
Yeah, and so there was one scene where we were we didn't tell the director about it. We were like, we're just gonna go out there and we're gonna do it. And so we were in I forget Queen Latifah's name in the movie, but we were in her like little record shop, and we were talking about, you know, the march that we were gonna do the next day. And so Tracy and her husband had just walked in, and when they walked in, they was like, oh, we got chicken and waffles and all that, and they had like a bag, but it was like one of those old school Burger King bags with the Burger King logo was on one side and it was just brown on the other side. So it was like, we're gonna bring this out. And where I was standing, Mr. S, the director, he was standing in on like a stage right, and so I could see him being like, he was like doing it. He's like, what's going on? Like, he's looking around like, what's happening?
Right.
And so what we did, like, there was no, that was true to me. I was like, this is us really acting, because we're doing everything improv, basically.
Okay.
Like, we're doing what we're getting. And so whenever they was like, the husband asked, he was like, who wants some chicken and waffles? And me and like 3 other kids were like, oh, us. And so he's like, he grabbed the bag from Tracy's hand, or from the mom's hand, like threw it at us. And we got it. He was like, oh. And I had my mic on, but the other 2 around me didn't. And so we were like, oh, man, this is some good chicken and waffles. Man, I haven't ate since last night. What you talking about, man? We're talking about what this. So we just kind of went off. And so there was like 30 seconds of nobody else talking, because everybody was listening to us, and we was cracking people up. It was great. And then we turned around. I turned around real slow. I looked down, I was like, well, are you going to say something, or should I say something? And they pointed at me, they was like, you should say something because you got the mic. I was like, oh, yeah. So I was like, I turned around real slow. I was like, I'm sorry. Am I missing something? And I like just kept going. And in that time, like, it was like everybody cracked up. And I was like, all right, well, you know, y'all keep going. I'm going to go off outside and eat this bag. So I went out, and Mr. S came around. And he was like, if what y'all didn't do wasn't so funny, I would be so mad.
Correct, because it could have thrown everybody off.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. You got to stay on that script. You got these words that people have memorized.
Yeah.
But on the last performance, you decided to play with it a little bit.
Yeah.
And that could have gone
Could have gone bad. Could have gone so bad, because it was so, because there was actual food in the bag, and if we would have dropped the bag, like, we would have been like, oh no. And then we had to plan it right to where the people who knew, because they said, who wants some chicken and waffles, and like we would raise our hands, and then they wouldn't throw the bag. And so like whenever they said, who wants some chicken and waffles, this next person would speak. So we told the next person, we was like, look, he's gonna throw the bag to us.
Right.
You don't speak until like after we're done. And they were like, oh, I'm with it. Like, okay, I will wait until
you had it well planned.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
fantastic.
Like the only thing that was planned was throw the bag. After the bag is thrown and everything dies down, then you speak. Okay. Everything in the middle or right before it and after it was just up to us.
Improv,
basically.
But planned improv.
Yeah.
That way that next actor wasn't left with, I don't know.
What's going on? We wanted to make sure that the show would just keep going on.
Yeah.
And the crowd, like, we would know everything, like, for the people who didn't know what was going on the stage, it would be like, what's going on? And so, but the crowd would think, oh yeah, they meant to do that.
Well, and you had a little something, like you said, it was the last show, and there were a few people that had already seen some of the previous shows. They got a little something extra.
Yeah.
Look at you, Rashard, giving them a little extra, something more. And that's what you do, Rashard, Deshon, Washington. So, I mean, man, these are the early stages of you. This is what formed you into the performer that you are today, 9th grade. All right, keep going.
Yeah, I mean...
any other musicals? Anything else that you did?
Yeah, the whole 9th through 12th grade, I did every musical that came around. I did it. 10th grade, we did Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, that's nice.
And then 11th grade,
you were the Beauty, right?
No, I was the father. I was the father of the Beauty.
Nice. Singing in that one as well?
Yes.
Wow.
Every musical that I was in, I got to do a little
that was
singing.
A dumb question on my part. It's a musical. Come on. There's lots of singing.
And then, let's see. Yeah, 11th grade, we did Peter Pan.
Nice.
I was the chief, like the Indian chief that was in the movie.
Okay.
And then 12th grade, We did Footloose, and that's doing Footloose was a big pivotal point because, like I said, with ninth grade, the leads are usually the seniors, and so I was a senior, and once they announced the musical, everybody was like, "Oh well, Rashard's gonna be Kevin Bacon, like I'm gonna be the lead," and I was like, in a way, I was like, I can see it because the movie's all about dancing, and y'all know how much I love dancing, and there's nobody else in this school that loves dancing and singing as much as me. And so, like, we went on, like, it was a tough time because I went through the audition. They wanted me to do a callback, which in that, like, instance, there's only one callback, and that's just to be like, oh, you're going to get this part, you're going to get this part. Because if you didn't get a callback, you were just going to be, like, maybe some background characters or the singing, the background singing. And so I was like, all right, I got the call back. He wants me to go through everything. And so every time that I auditioned, 9th through 11th grade, for my audition song, I had to sing something a cappella, and it was always Michael Jackson. It's Michael, Michael, Michael. And so for 12th grade, my first audition song was, Michael Jackson again. And so they were like...
Well, what song? He had about 100 hits.
Rock With You. Rock With You was my...
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to 70s, Michael. That's my favorite. That's my favorite Michael, man.
Yeah, it is. That was a great era of Michael.
Yeah.
But the choreographer, because the choreographer and some of the other people really, like, believed in me. And the lead from Peter Pan and Beauty and the Beast, she had came from Nashville. She stays in Nashville now, but she came from Nashville to see, everybody audition and stuff. She came up to me, she was like, look, you sing beautifully, but everybody in there thinks that all you do is Michael. So tomorrow, I don't care how much you got to practice, find a song that's hard to do, that's 80s, because they're thinking that all you can do is Michael and you're not going to be able to fit for this role. That's their main concern.
Don't be a one-trick pony.
Yeah, so I said, dang. Okay, so I was like, let me look for a song that's 80s and difficult to sing. And so this was another step that kind of boosted my confidence in singing. I was looking all night that night, and I was like, top 80s song that's upbeat. I want to sing something upbeat. And so one of the first things that popped up that I liked actually was Take On Me by A-ha.
Nice.
And so I had never heard the song before. I was like,
greatest
okay.
video of all time.
Yeah, it's a great video. I listened to the song that night, and I was like, I can't sing this. And I was like, this is tough because that high note. I was
Way high.
Yeah, I was like, I can never sing that high note. And so the next day, the callbacks were Friday, so I had it was Wednesday the audition, so I had Thursday night to practice. And so Thursday night I was practicing it, and I was like, well, this is the only song I've practiced, so I might as well, just try it out. So I went to callbacks, and I was like, all right. And they asked me, they was like, all right, we need Rashard Washington to come in here and do his song. So I came in there, and I was like, all right, is it okay if I pull up the lyrics?
Yes.
And they were like, yeah, it's fine, but I'm surprised you need lyrics for a Michael song. And so I was like, in my head, I was like, y'all think it's Michael. And so I was like, it actually is not Michael. And everybody went, And so the people that came up to me, the choreographer and Jessica Taylor, the one who was moved from Nashville, or came from Nashville, they were sitting in the front row and they looked at each other like, let's see what he's going to do. And so they were like, all right, what are you going to sing? And I was like, I'm going to sing Take On Me by A-ha, the first verse and chorus. And they were like, you're going to sing the chorus too? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to see what I can do. And so everybody was fine with the verse. But when the chorus came, I saw Jessica and the choreographer. They were huddled real close. They was grabbing onto each other, hoping I hit the high note.
Strap in, waiting for it. Come on, here we go.
And so whenever I started singing, and I got to the chorus, Take On Me, the judges are the choir director and the director, they were both into it, so they was take on me, and it kind of threw me off for a second. I started laughing. They was like, all right, we're not gonna do that, just keep going. So I did. I kept going, and then I took a deep breath before singing that last part, that normal, I could hit that note.
Yes.
And then there are two, I hit that note, and I hit the yeah. And so I hit it. And I like whenever it got to the chorus, I put the phone in my pocket to be like, all right, I'm confident in what I'm about to do.
Yes.
And so I started like moving around and dancing with it and doing like dances that he did in the video.
Yes.
And so when I hit that note, after I hit it, it was silence for like 5 seconds. And I was like, oh no, I didn't hit it right. And everybody went like, that was awesome. And like people, because it was like me on the stage by myself and everybody else in the lobby waiting on their turn, and they were like, people from the lobby had opened up the door to listen. It was like somebody singing "Take on Me," and so they were clapping too. And so the choreographer and Jessica both got out of their seats and came and like gave me a hug, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, it was so great." And so I left, and so after somebody leaves, it's about 5 minutes before they call the next person. After I left, it was like 15 minutes after they called the next person. So I was like, everybody was like, well, they're probably just taking a break. And so after they called the next person, Jessica and the choreographer came out, and they were like, the choreographer was Caucasian, Jessica was black, and so the choreographer, her face was all red, but it wasn't like out of embarrassment, but it was like anger on her face. And Jessica, you could tell, because she's usually a cheerful person, but she was angry too.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was wondering, I was like, what's going on? And so I went up to Jessica, I was like, hey, you okay? She was like, no, I'm not. Oh. I'm not okay at all. I want to go, but I'm going to wait until after all of this is done, because I want to talk to you. And I was like, okay. And so like right then I was like, oh, you want to just hang out and chit chat? I didn't know that she wanted to talk to me, as in like she needed to lay some stuff down. So it was after a while, it was near the end of the callbacks, the director called me in, and he was like, hey, Rashard, I want to, run this by you. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, what's going on? And they told me, and I'll never forget, I was in the back of the auditorium with them, and they was like, all right, so we started through, for this musical, we want you to be a dancer. That's what you're going to be, is one of the dancers. Mm. And so they were like, you'll still, like, be in a lot of rehearsals, and you'll still get some singing parts, but you're just going to be a dancer for this one. And I looked at it and I was like, so no name, basically. Like, I'm just in the credits on the book is going to say dancers. I'm going to be with everybody else. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't me trying to be like, I'm going to be like everybody else. It was me like specifying, you're telling me that I went from being leads and having my own roles to just with the rest of the pack. Mm. And I was like, this is my senior year. This is not what I wanted to do. I wanted to stand out. This is, and then I just, like, I stopped, and they were like, we know. It's and we're doing this musical because of you, because like it's your last year and you want to dance, but with this you'll be able to dance so much more, and you'll have some more fun parts. I was like, I don't care about just dancing.
Trying to smooth it over.
Yeah, they were trying to do that, and I was like, I was upset, and I was like, no. And so Jessica and the choreographer, they both got up and walked out. And so I looked at them walk. In my head, I was like, is this what they want to talk to me about? I was like, maybe it's something else. They probably wouldn't have known, because they would have told me. And so they kept trying to smooth it over. They were like, we promise you're going to have so much more fun being a dancer than you would have been, Kevin Bacon. And I was like, I don't think so. And so the auditions was like in December, so it was near the end of like the semester. And so, but when I went back outside, like, I ain't gonna lie, I cried. I was like, dang, how you gonna tell me you're doing this musical for me, but you're giving me a non-important role? You're just giving me a dancer. I could not be in one of these dances and nobody would know the difference. Yeah. And so Jessica and the choreographer, they talked to me. It's like, that's what we were gonna come talk to you about, because they said it. They ran it by us, and we said, the choreographer even said, like, I'm going to quit. Like, why are you not going to give Rashard the lead role? Like, he was made for this role. And they gave the role to somebody who could not. I'm not trying to be rude, because everybody thought the same thing, and like it was just very apparent. He could not dance. He was new to singing, so his singing was good, but it wasn't like all the way up there quality. And it wasn't just me being like, I know people probably be like, oh, he's probably being salty because he didn't get the starting role, but it was everybody. It was very known. And so whenever the casting list got put up and people looked at the lead where Kevin Bacon was and they didn't see my name, like, even the people that didn't do musicals came up to ask me how I felt about it. And I was like, I don't even care. I was like, I'm going to do it. I know you, because people was like, I wouldn't even do it if I were you. They're trying to give you a basic role and still want you to perform at star quality. And like, you don't do it. And I was like, I'm going to do it because, I mean, it's my last musical. I'm going to do it. And so people were upset for me. But like, I'm a person that doesn't get fazed very, very much. It fazed me to do that because, like, I remember the day before winter break, for Christmas break, like, it was kind of dull because people kept coming up to me, asking me, like, how do you feel about it? Like, what are you going to do? Like, you know, are you upset? And I was like, yeah, I'm upset. I'm mad. I'm very sad. I'm devastated. But, I mean, it's nothing I can do. I'm not an understudy for this guy. And, you know, I've never seen him before, but, yeah.
Do you know who that was? Who got the lead?
Yeah, I don't want to say his name.
I think he was on this podcast, if it was the same year.
What do you mean?
Was it Joel?
Yeah.
Joel Fountain.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I've talked to him. I talked to him for about 3 hours. So you're getting, hey, man, and if you haven't heard that podcast, you'll get to hear the other side of the story. So this is a man who, and this is Rashard becoming Deshon, man, the star of the show.
Yeah.
You've been the lead, and this is how it hurt you, man. And,
yeah.
And I know Joel Fountain. He's in Sideswipe. He's the front man of that band. And so, I mean, you're both local musicians, and I'm sure you run into each other from time to time.
Yeah, we do. And, like, I have no quarrels with him. There's nothing wrong with Joe. He's a great guy, great singer, great performer. And back then, I had no beef with him at all. I was just sad I didn't get the role.
Yeah.
But the director came up to me at one point after a rehearsal, like, and he said, "Can I talk to you after rehearsal?" I was like, "Yeah." And so he came up to me. He's like, "Hey, man, people are saying that you're upset that you didn't get the starting role." I was like, "Yeah, that's true."
Yes.
Like, I mean, that's as plain as the sky is blue. And they're like, he was like, "Yeah," and people are also saying that you're talking about beating up Joel. I was like, "No." I was like, "What do you mean?" Like, that's so Tanya Harding to do.
Yeah.
I was like, "I'll never beat up somebody else because they got that role." I was like, "I'm not the type of person to fight, like to start a fight." He's like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah, why wouldn't I be sure about something like that? I have no beef with Joe. He got the role. Yeah. Y'all liked him better than I. There's nothing I can do about it." I was like, "I'm just dealing. I'm playing the cards you dealt me. If somebody else if you looked at the cards and gave them better cards than I can't do nothing about it. I just have to. It's not like I can be like, oh, let's have an act off, sing off, dance off to see who's better and who should get the role." Like, that's petty. It's like, I'm just gonna keep living my life and do the musical.
Right. Show must go on. Rashard,
Yeah.
you got a part in this musical. It's not the part you wanted.
Yeah.
It might not even be the part you deserved, you know?
And they try to make it better because they were like, okay, the beginning of the song is, you know, the Footloose, like that you know, iconic song.
Yes.
And they were like, instead of everybody singing it, you're gonna sing the first solo part, like you're gonna be the show opener. And I was like, okay, whatever.
Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, I was like, whatever.
Consolation prize.
Yeah, and so they was like, all right, we're gonna give you this, and then you're gonna be the lead dancer whenever these rehearsals are going on. Like, you're gonna be in the front. I was like, we'll see. And so there were some rehearsals where I would be in the very back. And the director would come in and be like, "Hey, where's Rashard?" I'd be like, "Oh, I'm back here." He's like, "Why are you in the front?" I was like, "Because I'm not a lead dancer. I'm just a dancer." Yeah. And y'all only want me to be in the front. That way it makes me feel better. And so, like, he was like, no. I told you you're the lead dancer. I was like, no, because I'm learning. If I was the lead dancer, I would be doing different dances than everybody else. But you see, it doesn't matter if I'm in the front, in the back, or the left or the right, or in the middle. I'm doing the same exact dance. So it doesn't matter where I'm at. If you want me for something, then you can call me up and I'll do that dance. But for everything else, no.
Now, previous to this, you've been in choir, so I know where you learned how to sing and develop that talent. Where did you learn how to dance? Develop that talent?
It kind of came super early at a super early age.
Watching MTV, I guess?
Yeah, watching people I would listen to music and I would dance. I wouldn't call it dancing at that young age. I've looked at videos of me dancing before and I'm like, oh no. Like, it was just basically like a kid having fun with having rhythm, enough to be like, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, I can dance on these beats.
You kept to the beat.
Yeah.
That's a lot more than a lot of people.
But like the control of my body to like do super great dance moves wasn't all there because, again, I was just a kid. I was just a child trying to like, dance. And so, but other than that, like, it was just starting at an early age and learning as I grew older. Yes. And so a lot of things, choir taught me how to sing in a way, the vowels and everything, sure, and how to control my breathing, but it didn't teach me how to really sing, because I can look at notes and read music. I can be like, all right, that's do, that's so, that's ti, that's fa, whatever, and I can sing those notes.
Oh, you can read music?
Yeah.
Where did you learn that?
In choir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know they did that. Oh,
yeah,
they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never been in that choir.
So we had to like learn to read music because, at a point it would be like, all right, some of these songs are hard. You're gonna have to look at the music, but some of these songs are easy. You're going to look at the music, write down the solfege, the do to do, and then after that, you're going to, take the music away and sing it. So we had to learn to read the music on point. And so that was something that helped me with my singing, but it didn't help me because people say if you join choir at a young age, then your other types of singing is going to be affected because you're going to be so closely knit to choir singing and the choral music and trying to open your mouth wide for certain vowels. If you try to sing pop or anything like that, you're not going to sing it the same. And so
you don't sing it the same.
No,
you sing it Deshard's way.
Yeah,
Deshon's way.
Yeah,
I see. I mixed her first and last name up. No, we're learning how Rashard became Deshon. And Deshon is the front man. Deshon is the star, man. So, yeah, you don't sing rock and roll the way that a rock star sings it, man. You sing it Deshon's way.
Yeah, because I don't strive to be like anybody. Like, I know growing up, I did a lot of Michael Jackson songs, and people were like, oh, he's trying to be like Mike. And there was a time after he passed, I was like, I'm going to get the Jerry curl like Mike. I'm going to start performing like Mike. Here's how it's gonna go.
Who would want to be like Mike?
Exactly. I mean, it was like after he passed, like that first year, I was like, I want to do this just like him, and I was like, yeah, no, I want to do something different. I still want to dance like him. Right. I didn't know about the singing part because I didn't know if I could sing.
Well,
but
there is a career to be made as a Michael Jackson impersonator, and that could be something.
Yeah, you can make a lot of money from that if you're in the right profession and you do it right.
But that's not what you want.
Yeah, that's not what I want. And like, I have a lot of musical influences and people that I look up to where I'm like, I want to do it like them, but not be them. And so I was listening, I would listen to Michael, I'd listen to Prince, listen to James Brown, listen to a lot of old school singers and look at them perform. New school now singers, they have a different way about them to where their performances are basically super theatrical, I guess you could say. Less less like importance on them and their moving around the stage, and more importance on the background and what's going on behind them.
Pyrotechnics, screens with images going.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so like people like Kiss and Aerosmith and Motley Crue and like how Michael did it, and Bruno even now, he's a now singer. The performance is them. It's them, the band, and maybe sometimes with bigger venues they'll have pyros, but they won't have that much because they want you to focus on them. You're there for them, and you're paying to see them. You're not paying for the extra $100,000 they put in pyrotechnics or something like that.
There's a reason why Kiss and Aerosmith are 70 years old and still doing it.
Exactly.
Because they're good.
Yeah,
because they put the effort in.
Yeah, people are paying to see them, and they started with just them, and they're going to grow to forever be known as the people whose music was great. Mm-hmm. Like even Ozzy Osbourne, like he's a great person who his music is him. Like you're not focusing on all the big stuff behind him. Mm-hmm. And so when I perform, like people will say it, like I don't like to stay in one place unless it's like a slow song, like maybe Tennessee Whiskey or Hallelujah or something like that, where it's standing in one place and just doing the vocals will be so much more powerful than if I was moving. But like a lot of upbeat songs, I will move almost on every part of the stage if able. Mm-hmm. And so that's something that I want to do. And that's like James and Michael and Bruno, because they use every part of that stage. Oh, yeah. But they're dancing, and my dancing is kind of like Michael and James's, because first two people I saw dance for real. Yeah. And
they had great moves, man.
Yeah, they did. And so like that's my influences, but I started singing a lot of Michael, and then it got to the point where I got the nickname Little Michael in like in middle school and high school. And so after graduating, and people will still be like, "Oh, hey, it's Michael Jackson, it's Little Michael." I was like, I don't like that no more. Mm-hmm. And so
he wanted to become Deshon.
Yeah, so I would stop singing Michael Jackson songs so much, because every time I went to karaoke or something, I would do like Billie Jean or Thriller or something like that, and I'd be like, I'll do all these Michael moves. And so people were like, "Oh, you're the guy who sings Billie Jean, right?" And I remember it was like this time last year, I got tired of hearing that. I was like, no, I sing other stuff. Like I'm my own person. I'm not just that guy who sings Billie Jean. And so that's when I started to like say, if I ever do Billie Jean, it's probably just gonna be like once a month or once every couple months. Or like if I have a performance, like a 3-hour set, I'm gonna do it near the end. Like Michael may not even come out until the end of the set. That way you have everything else, and if people stay, that means that I did good doing other things. Yes. And then I get to Michael. I don't want Michael to be the only thing you're here for. Like some people be like, "Oh man, sing Billie Jean," because I put a lot of performance in that. Yes. But they stay for everything else. But Billie Jean to them is like their favorite song that I've done, because I do my own stuff with it. That's
your signature song.
Yeah, to some people.
You mentioned karaoke. When did that start for you? What year?
20.
Was it after high school? Or
it was after high school.
Oh,
I had to be 18.
So after high school, what did you do?
I went to UCA.
Hey, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I started doing radiology. I'm going back in the spring to finish everything, but
Mom said medical field.
She let me pick whatever I wanted to pick, but I was like, medicine makes a lot of money, so I want to do radiology.
You got that right. And radiology is great, especially if you work in the middle of the night. You sleep most of the night. I worked in the ER in the middle of the night, and I would transport patients to the radiologist, and they would set up all their X-rays and CTs and MRIs like right in a row, and you'd line them all up. They'd get them all done in about an hour or two, and they'd sleep the rest of the night. Yep. That way they can do radiology. What a racket!
And so I started doing radiology. And then I started working for a pizza company called Topper's Pizza that's not here anymore. It's back on the East Coast. and we delivered a couple of pizzas to King's Live Music here in Conway, Arkansas, and they were like, I was looking, I was like, what's this? Like, it was new to me. And so I saw there's a big mirror in King's, and it has like King's, and it has like some like marker stuff on it, and it said Wednesday trivia night, Thursday karaoke night. Uh-huh. And so I asked, I was like, what happens here? And I said, oh yeah, these nights, like, we have this and that. And they said, Wednesday's trivia night, Thursday's karaoke night, and there's cash prizes going away, like $100 cash prize. And so I was like, in my head, because she didn't specify, I was like, oh man, like, if I sing karaoke and I do good, I get $100. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be there. So it was a Thursday, because that's when karaoke is. I had called up and I was like, hey, what time does karaoke start? And they were like, about 9:30. I was like, oh, okay, like, is it the $100 cash prize tonight? And she was like, oh no, it's just trivia night. And I went, I don't know. I was like, do I want to go now? There's no prize. I was like, I'll go just to see what, because I've never done karaoke before. It's only like on TVs and movies I've seen it. So I went up there and I was like, all right, I can either do first song Michael Jackson and just have that imprinted in everybody's brain if I do it good, or I can do Prince. Because I was like, all right, I'm going to do Prince. Sure. So I did I Would Die For You by Prince. And so nobody knew me. I was a new face. I was usually just a face in the crowd, basically, because I didn't go out and do anything. And so I went out there, did karaoke, I did Prince, and made people that were talking be quiet and be like, oh snap, who's this? And so I got off stage and people were like, man, that was great. I was like, the vocals are not there. And so like they was like, but you sang good. Like, they did that whole little head shake, like, good. So like it was like good enough. And it was like, your dancing was great. And so it was, for most of my career, it was dancing is phenomenal, singing is good. And so I was like, I gotta make it to where my singing is just like that. And
let's get that level up.
Yeah. And so like you can ask the DJ that like the main DJ of Kings is Brock Fornes.
Shout out.
Yeah. He like he'll talk about, from the first time he saw me, I was like 19, first time going to Kings, and now he said it's completely night and day in my voice. And anybody that asks, I've seen for years, they'd be like, yeah, when I first heard you singing something other than choir, it was good, but you had a lot of stuff, and like I hear you now, and it's so much more. Like, even me, like, you're your own toughest critic. You are.
Absolutely.
And so, like, me, I'm like, the singing could be better, but I know it's way better than it was when, like, in 2016. And so, because high notes that I can hit now, could never even dream of doing it back in the day, because I was like, some high notes is tough to hit, and I don't want to hit those and get out of breath and whoop-de-whoop-de-woo or whatever. And so like my range was very limited. But I think a couple weeks ago I wanted to test my range, and I got to on the keyboard, I think it was a G2 and all the way up to a G6, which is, it's 4 numbers, but you got to think about it, it's 4 different octaves. So like a G2 is like low, maybe a bass 2. If anybody knows who Avi Kaplan is, it's probably like a mid-range of his range is that G2, and then that G6 is high, like maybe mid-range of Mariah Carey, I guess, if she's singing a high note. So like it's crazy now, because I could never dream of going low, and I could never dream of going high whenever I was like starting out. And so people, like I said, people you ask will be like, yeah, it's night and day.
But you were the bass in chorus, even in 8th grade.
I was for a prepubescent kind of child. Yeah, I was like, because not a lot of people could hit bass, and so because I was bass 2, which is the lowest in 8th grade. Mm-hmm. And I went to 9th grade and I went to a tenor 2. So I went up 2 different voices.
That's higher than.
Yeah, that's higher than bass. And so I stayed at tenor, because for a tenor 2, that was my whole shtick was tenor 2. From 9th grade till 12th grade, I was tenor 2. Even in college choir, I was tenor 2 because people knew exactly who I was. In the tenor section, because I went to state and it was from ACC, the choir camp that I went to, people knew Rashard. It was like, oh man, like Rashard's here. Yeah, I had a lot of choir directors offer me scholarships to come sing in their choir. And I'll never forget a really amazing choir director. His name's Gary Morris. He said one day to like a group of choir directors, he said, every choir needs a Rashard. And so
that is high praise.
Yeah, that was a lot of high praise. And so he taught at Arkansas Tech. And so I told him, I was like, well, I want to do my first year at UCA, see how life is with college. And he said, go ahead, do that. Your next year, your sophomore year, whenever you're ready, just come. We'll talk about how much money you want, and I'll give it to you. And so the choir director at UCA, Mr. Irwin, at the time, whenever I was like, UCA is really just like a crash course for me. I want to do choir. I was like, I'm going to go ahead and do choir because I don't want to stop singing just in case, me not singing for a year messes it up.
Right.
And so near the end of choir, I told him, I told one of the lead people, like the people up under Mr. Irwin, but it was still part of the choir. I was like, yeah, probably going to go to Tech after this, most likely because Mr. Morris is offering me money to go. And I'm going to take that money and I'm going to go. And I was like, yeah.
That makes sense.
And so Mr. Irwin, he called me up one day. He was like, hey, I need to talk to you. I was like, okay. He's like, so I heard you're planning on going to Tech because Mr. Morris is, offering you scholarship money. I was like, yeah, this is probably going to be my first and only year at UCA. I'm going to continue my, radiology at Tech, try to get my basics, and then, wherever else. I want to get my degree first. He said, well, I really want you in this choir because you are, like, I can tell you're going to be a leader. I can tell you're going to be a great addition to this choir, and I don't want to lose you. So you've been here for a year. I'm going to offer you scholarship money, and I'm going to offer you hopefully more than what Gary Morris offered you to stay. And I said, huh. Okay, all right. And I was like, all right.
It's a bidding war.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay, all right. And so I told Mr. Morris, I was like, hey, I don't want you to think that I just forgot about you. Mr. Irwin,
Right.
He offered me a scholarship, and it's high dollar. I don't know how much he was going to offer, but this is how much he offered me. So I was going to, just stay here for the time being. And so him not counter offering let me know that it was out of his price range for Tech, because Tech is a smaller school than UCA. So I was like, yeah, so UCA has a little bit more money to throw at somebody. So I was like, all right, I can roll with that.
Well, just so people know geography, Arkansas Tech University is in Russellville, Arkansas.
Yeah.
About 45 minutes from your home of Conway, Arkansas.
Yes.
So there.
And so it was, it was nice, but then it got to a point where I started not like feeling school, basically, because like I just got out of high school and then went straight into college. Some people can do that. I've had friends that went ahead and graduated in 2019 from college because they just stuck through it.
Right.
But for me, I was like, high school, I was just tired, and I didn't want to. I was just like, I just want to pass. I want to get my degree and be done with it. And then I got to college, and I was like, all right, let me do it. And I didn't do good my first year at all. I was like, I don't like this. And so my second year kind of struggled, and then I was like, yeah, I gotta go. And so 2017, like the summer of 2017, I was like, yeah, I'm not going back. And
Is this year one or year two? What year did you graduate high school?
2015.
2015.
So
okay.
2017 was my year two, and I was like, yeah, I can't do it. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and she talked me into it. She was like, yeah, you should take a break because you want to do music and you're trying to focus on music, and you can't focus on music and school's heavy on your mind too. And so she said, take a break. If music goes good, stay with music for a little bit until it gets to a safe, steady pace, and then go back. And once you go back, you'll be ready to go back to school to go ahead and finish it because you'll miss it, which I do, which is why I'm going back in the spring.
Excellent.
And its music now is at a steady pace where I went out, I made my mark in some places. Actually, about to talk to a guy in Hot Springs, Arkansas, at the Oaklawn Racing Track, the casino.
Yes.
And I'm gonna try to get a gig down there. So I'm trying to spread my name across Arkansas. That way, you know, even when I'm in school, I can still have gigs on the weekends. And so I'm at that steady pace now where enough people know my name. I've been a regular at some places singing a lot where they know me and they're like, all right, this is Deshon, this is his band. Mm-hmm. This is him. Like, he's good. Like, he doesn't have to prove himself here to get a show. Even when he has school, like, he'll have stuff going on, but he'll always have a place to come perform.
Yes.
And so that's what I want to work on. I want to work on my degree, and also my goal is to have a gig every weekend. I want to. Maybe one show a week. That's great, especially when I start school. But 2 shows a week would be great. That way I could get paid more. But,
sure. The entertainment business, the money is good, can be good, but the work's not steady. You got to hustle.
Yeah, you do.
Do you have an agent of sorts, or are you doing this all on your own?
I'm doing it all on my own because I did have quote unquote, I did have an agent. Mm-hmm. But it was temporary. It was very temporary. It's 3 months because, you know, I'm my mother's child and she raised me enough to, like, you know, not just jump at something. Mm-hmm. And so it was an open mic hosted by Fred Monkey Records at King's.
Yes, Fred Monkey's right down the street from King's.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so there were 4 people in the back, all in suits. And so it was me and my band at the time. We performed 3 songs. Those people really liked us, and I remember helping my pianist get his stuff, like, off the stage. And the drummer, he came back running into me. He's like, hey man, these guys are outside, they want to talk to us, they say they want to represent us, they're agents, like, what do you want to do? I was like, calm down, you know.
Well, what types of songs did you sing?
We sung Sam Smith, Sam Smith. We did do Billie Jean, mm-hmm. and I can't remember the other song that we did, but it was enough to, like, get people on their feet.
Nice.
And so let me reply to that. And so we went outside, and, like, everybody else was excited, and I was like, all right, what do you want?
Right.
Because you're not just going to say, hey, we want to represent you and not want something back. So I said, you know, what's the deal? What did you tell him? Can you tell me the same thing? And they were like, yeah, like, we really like your sound. Y'all are, like, great for especially an up-and-coming band. We're a new agency here in Central Arkansas. We want to represent you if you want us, and we can get you gigs. We're already talking to venues for certain things. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of venues that want new music, and we've promised them new music, and we want you to be the front people. And so everybody else was like, oh man, like, this is big, like, our first live performance. They like us so much that we want an agent. I was like, yeah, you know, all right. And I was like, well, y'all got a card? And they was like, yeah, they gave us a card. And so I was like, all right, cool, I will call you. Mm-hmm. And so they were like, all right, we're going to go back inside, hopefully see you in there. I was like, all right, cool. So everybody else stayed outside with me, and they were like, you going to call? I was like, yeah, I'm going to call. I mean, any door open is a door to peek your head in, not go all the way through.
Sure.
And so, like, I wasn't excited about it because I wasn't going to get excited about something that could be nothing. Mm-hmm. And so I went and I talked to my mom about it, and I was like, you know, what do you want to do? And she said, you should see what they want, see what they're going to do, because no agent is just going to represent you for free. So you got to ask how much money they're going to take.
Right.
What they want you to do in order for them to still, like, represent you, because this could be a whole sham. I was like, yeah, it could be. So I told the band, I was like, look, we're going to go up there because they want to hear us play in person. I'm going to go up there, play a song, see what they're talking about. And they want us to sign contracts. And so before we went up there, I called the dude who gave me his number. I was like, hey, can we have a sit down somewhere? So we went to Bear's Den here in Conway.
Sure.
And we sat down at the booth. And I asked him, I was like, look, I told him straight up, because I was like, I'm finna be super serious with you. I said, don't BS me right now. I came dressed prepared. You came dressed prepared. We're in nice shirts and ties. We're doing this business. This is not something where I'm just a greenhorn to the game. Somebody new. I'm new to the music game, but I'm not new to people trying to play me around for something that I'm not.
Sure.
So I said, look, I know what I want. I know what the guys want. I just want to know what you're going to do to help us achieve that. And if you can't help us achieve that, then we're going to shake hands and we're going to go. But if you can help us, then we'll be one of your clients. And so he told me straight up. He said, I wasn't somebody that he was going to pin down as like somebody who knew their stuff and just was not going to be just super excited and just sign the contract. He said he thought he was going to have to like represent kids. I was like, I don't know about the rest of them. I said, but me, I'm not just, like I said, I'm not somebody to play around. And so we talked about it. He said what he wanted to do. He basically said that he wants us to, perform, and they'll take 10% of whatever we make to start out. And then once we get a little bit bigger, the percentage will rise, of course, a little bit to make money for them. I was like, all right, of course, every agency has to take a percentage, especially y'all probably got different jobs in the agency. Either that or you got other clients. So taking 10% from us is not big for us nor y'all, because y'all may have other source of incomes. But if we make it big to where we're selling out shows and making $1,000, $2,000, hopefully you'll take a bigger cut, because we're still going to get bigger cuts than you. And so we got to a deal. I was like, all right, we can do this temporarily. I was like, I'm going to say 3 months. I'm going to talk to the guys, and then you're going to talk to your guys. If both of our groups can agree on 3 months of temporary to see what you can do for us, and it goes well, we'll sign a contract. And so my coworker is calling me. And so we did that, and it didn't go all the way through 3 months. They gave us about 2 to 3 shows and barely called us. And for those first 3 shows, they were good shows. Like, it were like, all right, cool. But after that, they stopped calling, and I was wondering why. So I talked to one person who helped play drums with us, because the original drummer, he moved to Colorado, so we had people play drums for us. And he had called me and talked to me, and I was like, yeah, I'm still waiting to hear from this certain agency to see what they're gonna do. And he's like, oh, I heard from so and so that they said they were not representing y'all no more. And I was like, who'd you hear that from? He's like, well, I heard that from this person who has ties with the group, and they said that they weren't representing you. I was like, oh, this is news to me. They didn't call me. They didn't call us. And so I told the band, I was like, hey, they said that they're done with us. And they were like, did they tell you? Is this like something that you're trying to wait to tell us? Like, no. Dude called me today and told me. And so after that, I was like, yeah, we're not going to use an agent. I don't want to use an agent until it gets too much for me to handle, because if I can go out and get shows by myself, then what do I need an agent for? And so far, everywhere I've been, I've done it myself. Like
yes.
Kings, TC's, Oaklawn, other places here in Central Arkansas that I've been to, is because I've taken the initiative myself to go out and get the job done myself, to get my name out there, and then them being like, do you have a band? Yeah, we do got a band. We got 3 to 4 hours of worth of music, whatever you need.
So Rashard, you're teaching people a little bit about the back part of the music business. How do you get the gigs? And being with an agent, and they said that they were just starting out, that might have been a good thing or a bad thing. When you're just starting out, you're hungry.
Yeah.
You want to do good for the people, to make a name for yourself. So as an agent, they may have been better in getting you more gigs where they do the driving around the state, the calling around the state for you while you spend time in rehearsal and writing songs or making songs or putting music together, putting the show together. They are helping you in that respect where they are getting the gigs for you. Now you say they only got you 3 gigs, but maybe, see, you could look at it both ways. You can look at it from, you only went it halfway in, put 1 foot in the door. Let me just do 3 months and see what happens. Or what if you would have signed the 1-year contract, 10% for them, and they would have gotten you, 2 gigs a week, 3 gigs a week, whatever fit into your schedule. There's a lot of what ifs there. But at this level in the game, you doing it on your own, because I do it on my own too, and I've had an agent in South Florida where they got me a lot of gigs and they took a little piece off of it, or I got myself almost the same amount of gigs and kept it all.
Yeah.
Now there's 2 sides to that coin, and you're willing to do the work where you go out and hustle and get yourself the gigs, and then you get a bigger piece of the pie.
And in some respects of it, yes. But even if I go out and do the work, I still take the smaller cut from payment, because me just being the lead singer of the band, I have less in my mind, to remember. Like in a band, I was talking about this last night with a friend. Like the drums is the core, the bass is like the surface surrounding the core, the guitar and the keys, if there is keys, is the crust, and like the lead guitar is the atmosphere. You can have a planet with all that. You don't have to have somebody there to tell a story. But being a singer, I like to tell a story with what I do. Like I said earlier, I move across the stage. I don't just stand in one place. And I feel like me moving across the stage helps tell whatever story of whatever song I'm singing, whether it be Tennessee Whiskey, where you're really thinking of me singing to a girl about, whatever's in the song, or a song like Uptown Funk, where I'm just like singing something that's upbeat and fun, and I want you to, be entertained.
Yeah.
But I'll still take that smaller cut, because I don't have to sit down someplace and do the hard work that a bassist may have to do, or a guitarist have to do, or a drummer has to do. And I take note of that. I'm not, because a lot of musicians will still take a cut, or even a bigger cut, because they'd be like, oh, well, they're coming to see me, so I'm going to take that pay. Like, even though my name's at the front of the band, I still want y'all to know that y'all are valued, and I respect y'all.
You are a benevolent boss, Rashard Deshon, Washington. I think you're selling yourself short as a front man, because a band without a front man is a jam band. Okay, and yes, you can listen to a jam band for a while. If you're at a festival, they'll be jamming in the background. But without that front man, without David Lee Roth, without Bruno Mars, without Prince, without Michael Jackson, what is that band, man?
Yeah.
Without James Brown in front doing his thing, what is that band?
Yeah, it may not be, it wouldn't be the band that it is without those people. But for the time being, for now, I want to, especially for people that want to join my band or anything like that, I don't want them to think that I'm going to be selfish and just take a big cut. Like, I could equal them out, be like, all right, 500 divided by 5, that's 500 per person. But because there's been shows where we make like $400 from the pay and like $93 in tips. I'll take that $93 and give everybody else $100, even though it is $7. Like that $7 does go a long way. Besides being just split up by 5 and not being, $100, because seeing $100 just fall in your hand is big. And it doesn't matter if it was like anything above $80. If we get paid $400 for the show, I will take that. But if it's like $75 or 70, I will like, all right, we need to split something in half. I'll still take a little less, but
we're getting deep into the monetary.
Yeah.
I think you all should be getting paid $50,000. How about that? Go to Verizon Arena and be in front of 50,000 people because
I would love that. Great, man. That's what we're striving for.
Goals, man, goals. But, you're at this level of the game. You're starting out. We've gotten out of high school. We're well off to college, and we're putting college on hold. How does Moms feel about that?
She's fine with it. At first, she was, questioning it because a lot of people that say they're going to go back to college don't go back to college, and so. Yes. But at first she was like, she doesn't know, she doesn't feel right about it. But then she saw that me going out and doing this music was making me a lot happier than I was just going to school and coming back and then just having a lot to study and remember and doing stuff that I did not want to do at the time. And so like she's fine with it now. She supports me in all my shows and whatnot. Yes. And I told her I was going back to finish it, and she was like, all right, yes. Go ahead.
I fully believe that you will if that need does arise.
Yeah.
Has she gotten a chance to see your shows?
Yeah, she comes to almost all of my shows.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, so that's nice. Always nice to have a parent that supports.
Yes. And how's the little bro doing?
He's a handful. I'm gonna be honest, he's a handful.
I'm sure he's is he just in high school now, I guess?
Middle school. Yeah, middle school. He's seventh grade. Seventh
grade, man. So. Hey, you guide him. You show him by example. And you're a hard-working man. You have a steady day job, a gig. I call that the insurance job because a lot of times performers don't get insurance. That's for sure. So you have to have that medical benefits of some sort.
Yeah.
So you're hard-working, man. And so where are you at now? What was the first band that you started off in that they tried to sign you with, and then how many of those people do you still work with?
First band I started with, we ended up calling ourselves, I wasn't a big fan of the name, but they were all playing around and was like, we should name this band. And at the time I didn't have no other names to be like, to just counter offer and be like, let's name it this. But first band was called Apartment 208.
Okay.
Which was at like later on, I was like, oh, that's pretty catchy. Even made a logo for it. I was like, all right, it'd be cool because when I think of band names, I think about like somebody announcing us, all right, come to the stage. And I was like, Apartment 208. I was like, that's unique. That's something different. Okay, I had to learn to love it.
Sure. What kind of music were you playing at this point?
We were playing everything that we could.
Like a party band? Like a lot of covers?
Yeah. And we were trying to write originals, but I could never get them to sit down enough to be like, hey, let's focus on this. Because every time we would practice a song, the next 10 minutes after practicing that song would be them being like, oh, we should play this song. Oh, no, we're going to play this song. And everybody just basically jamming and me just sitting there being like, all right, we need to get back to practice. But it's changed since then. But that was the first band. And then I went to me and Nick Bello. He was just somebody that one of the people that I started the band with, he asked to come and jam and be a part of the jam session. That person that asked me is no longer in the band, but the person that he invited has been in the band ever since.
Nick Bello's a keyboardist, right?
Yeah. So he was there since 2016. And in 2017, we started playing a little bit more.
Uh-huh.
And then
what kind of gigs?
Just basically just small open mics. It was basically that.
Did you get back to Kings? You can shout out all the
venues
maybe.
We did Kings. No paying gigs.
Yes,
we did
that's
Hogs. Yeah, we did Hogs Blues Cafe. They paid us.
Oh, nice.
But that was when like some of the band was still together.
I bet that felt better having a little money in their pocket.
Yeah,
it was a couple bucks.
Yeah, it did. It was different because our first time being paid was like a new experience that we didn't want to leave. But
I made money for singing. Look at this.
Yeah. But the Nick is the only person that whenever I first was like, when I first formed my own band, I was like, yeah, he's been there ever since. And so he, like, whenever, like, if everybody else can't do a certain gig that's like maybe like 30-minute gig for like a fundraiser or something because they're working or whatever, he'll always be the one to be like, yo, let's do it. Like, we have a...
He's got a little drum beat on his keyboard. He can click if he needs to.
And so, yeah, he's been the main one. And
hey, big ups to the drummers. I'm sorry, I didn't want to take you out of a job.
The drummers is it's the most important part of the band. But yeah, it's been a long ride, and we're still trying to...
So it's you and Nick Bello now.
Me, Nick Bello, guitarist Aaron Reynolds, drummer Brandon Short. Our bassist changes out frequently.
Okay.
For the main one that's been playing with us has been Blake Boss.
Okay.
Bost. But the past two concerts that we had Joey Fanstar play bass for us, which is he's a great, amazing musician. But yeah, that's the only thing that's not permanent in the band is the bassist, because any bassist, a lot of musicians will know it's hard to find a bassist, because once somebody finds a bassist, they try their hardest to keep them. And so most musicians are in with different bands until they make it big with one of them.
Right.
So
what's the name of your band now? This Incarnation, and when did that start?
Deshon and the Electric Current.
I like it.
Yeah. I came up with the name because I heard a lot of people, like a lot of adjectives to describe whenever I got up on stage was like shocking and electrifying and woo doo woo doo woo, and like whenever I'm a big fan of WWE, and so Dwayne The Rock Johnson, his nickname is the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. And I was like, I want to be electrifying like him.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, and so
you are.
And so they were. I was thinking to it one time. I was like, well, if I shock people and give them electric vibes or whatever, it should be something electric. Like, I want something that's gonna be like an electric name. I was like, all right, Deshon and the Electric Current. And so every time I ran it by people, like, they was like, that's a great name. Like, that's boom.
I see logos. I see throwbacks maybe to the '60s with the
lightning
lights
strike,
and tie-dyes and things. Oh,
and
This is all things that you had growing up, even in your summer camp with the '60s thing with the frog stock.
Yeah,
So
it's everything. Everything's just leading into one big melting pot, really.
Yes.
And I take everything from when I was little to now,
absolutely,
to present, to just like mold that into something that I want to make to better myself, because like I don't want to always be a cover band. I don't always want to be that person where they're like, oh, Deshon was famous in his hometown, or like just
you can make a good living as a cover band.
You can.
Weddings and parties and bar mitzvahs. Where my Jews at? No? Okay.
But that's not me. Like it would be nice to do that, but there's a whole bunch of cover bands out there.
Yep.
And they can all sound the same. The singer can be different, have a different kind of way of singing.
Yes.
But because I just saw a cover band the other week, and they were singing a lot of the same songs that I sing.
Right.
But differently. They had horns. We don't have horns, and they had 8-10 people in their band. I only have 5 in mine. So like, I want to be the type of person where I can make a song, go to an arena, sell it out, and the first few chords of the song, before I even start singing, everybody knows what's going on, and right before I sing a note, everybody's already singing the song for me. Like, there's a scene in Bohemian Rhapsody where he's singing, Freddie's singing a song. I can't remember the name of the song.
Yeah.
But it was a real concert. Everything was based on truth.
Yeah.
And whenever he was starting to sing a song, he didn't even get the first notes out, and the whole crowd had their like lighters up, and they were singing the song word for word in unison.
Yes.
And he didn't have to sing that. He didn't even sing that song, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't sing that song. The whole crowd sung it to him. And even watching that gave me chills because I was like, that's what I want.
That is what you want. Are you writing songs?
Yeah, I'm writing songs.
You have lyrics?
I got lyrics.
You have an idea of what rhythms you want?
Yeah, it's a process, especially I'm finna start learning to play bass. That way I can start making better. Like whenever I'm with the band, I can be like, all right, this is what the bass line is going to be.
Right.
Now we need to build around it.
Or even if you have a little MIDI keyboard and a computer, you could make your own demos where you could take this back to the band and say, hey man, I came up with this last night. I woke up in a nightmare and I had to write this down. The artists that I've been talking to on this podcast, a lot of them, that's the through line. They'll be driving down the street and I got to pull over and just record something on my phone, with my voice to remind me what it was, because I had a great idea while I was driving. Or I woke up in the middle of the night and I have a recorder next to my bed so I can record something.
Yeah.
What influences you, or what's the style that you have for writing?
I usually, like I said earlier, I like to tell a story.
Yes.
And so before I make any song, even before I write any lyrics, somebody told me once, every song should answer a question. And so the title of your song and the whole song should answer a question. No matter what question it is, it should answer that question. And so my question every time is, what am I trying to portray? And so I'll think of, if I was to make a song, what scenario could I do and make it a music video? And then I think of scenarios. I do, and then it's I go
That's
through.
That's very 80s, man. The bands in the 80s used to think of lyrics a lot of times on how I can make this into a music video. Because MTV was huge. Yeah. And now they don't even play videos, do they?
Not a lot. But I start to think, I'll be like, all right, so this can happen, and then I'll be talking to this person like this. Now, an hour-long conversation needs to be condensed into 3 to 4 minutes.
Yes.
And so that's when I'll be like, all right, there's a melody in my head, and then I'll just do the bass line. And I'll do the bass line first, and then I'll sing over the bass line. I'll record it on my phone, and then I'll play it, and I'll be like, all right, what fits, what makes... Because I don't want to say a lot and repeat the same stuff. I want something that's catchy. So with that bass line, I would do that.
So do you kind of hum the bass line since you don't play the bass line?
I have a keyboard in my... Yeah.
You know how to play a little.
Yeah, so I have a keyboard in my garage, and there's a program on it where there's a bass, electric bass.
Yes.
And so I'll play that on there whenever I'm thinking of something. I'll be in the house, and I'll hear something. I'm like, oh, well, there's that bass line. I want to change it and make it my own bass line. That way it's unique and just mine. And so I'll go outside and I'll fiddle around with it, and then that's how I go about it. So,
man, do you have anything written fully, or anything that you produced yet, or something that's about to happen?
I have 2 songs made. One called Little Time, and then another one called What's Become of Me.
Are they out there?
Yeah, they're out there on iTunes and Spotify.
Oh, they're out there. You got stuff. How do they find them?
iTunes, Spotify, YouTube.
Under what name?
Deshon. Just Deshon, Deshon.
I got to find the link. I'll put it in the show notes for sure.
Yeah.
So, as we're rounding this out, what's next on the horizon for Deshon and the electric current? And Deshon, the person, as well?
Well, as far as the band goes, we're still doing shows. Basically, I've drove to Hot Springs, I think about a week ago.
Yes.
And I did a showcase, a little talent showcase. It wasn't nothing big, but when I got up there and performed, the people that were running it and the people that do the entertainment booking, they recorded me and put me on the Oaklawn Casino Horse and Racing Facebook page and said, if you're not in Hot Springs, you don't know what you're missing. And so I've...
was that you in the band, or
just
went
me.
Solo?
Yeah, just me, because it was a showcase, and I couldn't just bring the whole band, because it would have been a pianist and a guitarist, and so it was just kind of like a more
was it
intimate
Cliff
thing.
and Susan?
Yes.
Cliff and Susan.
Yeah,
I
it was
love
Cliff
them,
and Susan.
Man. I want to get them on the podcast. Shout out Cliff and Susan.
And so I went down there, and it was fun. Like,
and even Bree Ogden, I know they work together too.
Yeah, I haven't seen Bree in a while.
It has been a while. She's going.
Yeah, she's going
out there. She's great.
Yeah. So hopefully the person that does the booking down there, I will be. He called me today, but I wasn't able to answer. I was asleep. I ain't gonna lie. I tried to call him back, so I'm gonna see if I can call him after this. And I do gotta. I'm getting my brother in like 5 minutes, but
okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go pick him up. But for me myself, I'm still trying to. I'm gonna go get my degree, but I'm also trying to explore the world, but also putting my name out there. Because anytime, like even if I'm on like vacation, like I went to Miami this past April.
Hey, my house. My hometown.
And I did karaoke down there. I was on a cruise, Carnival Cruise Lines. Cool. Went to Cozumel, Mexico, and I did karaoke on there and did a karaoke competition and got tied for first.
Yes.
And when I came back, I went to Oaklawn with my family, and I had a Carnival hat on, and there were some people from the cruise line, and they recognized me, and they was like, "Hey, are you Deshon from the cruise ship?" And there's like 3,000 people on a boat, and they were like, "Yeah, that's Deshon, that's the singer." And so like I was
You're
like,
already getting internationally known.
Yeah, I was like, wow, like you remember me from the ship? I'm like, yeah, like your singing and dancing was incredible. Because anywhere I go, like, because I went to Destin, Florida last year. And even though I was on a family vacation, I was like, I want to see if there's any karaoke spots while we're here that I can go to. And there was. And so I went. And anywhere I go, I try to perform my best to make people be like, where did you come from? And everywhere I go, it's that same question. Like, where did you come from? Where are you from? What do you do? Like, do you do this as a professional? And I'm like, yeah. And I'll tell them about me, and they look me up. And that's how I spread my name. I just got to find a better way to make it stick, because just going to karaoke bars is not sticking as well, because it's just anybody could go to a karaoke bar. It's just the luck of the draw if you make that one night where somebody bigger than just a regular old Joe is there can actually push your music, or you in general. So that's
as we're spending. I know you got only a couple minutes left, and yes, tell the people how to connect with you, Rashard Deshon Washington.
Just how I said my name, just on Facebook. You can type that in, Rashard, and then Deshon Washington. Deshon the Electric Current Band is on Facebook. You can follow me on like Instagram, Deshon96, Deshon. I mean, I'm always at King's. I'm actually DJing King's tonight in Conway, Arkansas for karaoke.
Yeah, I'll put this up really quick so people will hear it.
If y'all want to come through and see, a whole different types of singers, that would be, be nice. Come say hey. I'm like I said, I'm a real chill guy. Like y'all probably on this whole podcast, you're probably like, well, he doesn't really raise his voice a lot. I don't. I'm just a real laid back guy.
But you've had a life story so far in your young life. I mean, how old are you?
22.
22 years old. And you've had some life experience.
Yeah.
You've had some pain, and you've had some happy times, man. So there's life experience that you could draw from to create, and you're making songs, and you have a tattoo of a microphone, so and a treble bass, and or treble clef, I guess.
Yeah, treble clef.
So see, I'm not. As long as I've been in music, I don't read music, but you have tattoos, and which means it's tattooed on your body. It is a part of you, Deshon.
Yes.
So I mean, the last little bit of time that you have, man, you could tell people whatever you want.
It's I only got like 2 minutes.
Okay.
Because my mom keeps messaging me. I see it on my watch. But
that's another thing. You can tell people how you can make some money off of them. With your day job. And,
if you want to come to T-Mobile.
There you go.
If you want to come to T-Mobile, get some lines.
Which T-Mobile?
The one on Amity by Sam's Club. Come over there. I'll hook you up. Just let me know you heard me on this podcast. But yeah, I guess if I leave off with anything, it's just no matter what you're doing, especially with music, if you're not happy to wake up and do it, then you shouldn't do it. Music is tough. It's hard because you don't know when you're going to find your next job. You don't know if you're going to get paid for it. But it is a passion that most people don't get to do. Like, you'll see a lot of people on reality shows like American Idol or America's Got Talent or X Factor or The Voice, where auditions don't go the way they want, or they hear themselves sing and it's something that they've been told their whole lives that they can do, and then get in front of people and it says they can't. And most of the people that says they can do it are just real close friends that haven't heard nobody else, or close family members. And then you finally get the chance to go out into public to sing, and then you realize that it's not what you're looking forward to. That's my mom calling now. So I guess before I get off, the last thing I should say is, if you want to go out and do something, if you're passionate about something, go do it. And if it gets to a point where you're doing it for so long and then it's just comes a bore, then it's not the right thing for you. You need to find something that day or night, free or paid, you would want to do it. Because I'm doing it right now. I'm going through the phase of finally getting paid to do something, and I had to go through what people don't understand is doing it for free. So that's all I gotta say. My mom is calling me right now. Let me answer this real quick.
You better answer the phone.
Yeah.
Your mom's calling.
Well, there you have it, party people. Rashard Deshon Washington. His journey from being little baby Rashard all the way to being Deshon, the star of the show, the front man. Deshon and the Electric Current. Find them. Go see a live show. Check them out wherever you can. Follow the links. I'll try to put them here in the show notes. Well, I will put them in the show notes. So wherever you're listening, look for the show notes, and you'll find all the links on how to get a hold of Deshon and find out where Deshon and the Electric Current will be performing next. Oh yeah, do it. He's a good follow, and he's a good guy. He's definitely a good fella to get to know. And you're right. He's had some hardships, and he was saying that he's pretty even keeled, stays calm for the most part. Hey, everybody has good days and bad days, but if you could just swim right through it, man. It looks like he's making it through this life and doing good, man. And he's following his dreams. He's picking out jobs that work with his schedule, and that's great that T-Mobile works with his schedule and allows him to be the creator that he is, to be the performer that he is, and catch a performance of Deshon near you. Thank you, Rashard Deshon Washington, for being on the What Makes You Famous program. If you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. It's Keys Dan, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here. Radio What, the music you want, with some great quotes. Experience is that marvelous thing that enables you to recognize a mistake when you make it again. Franklin Jones. The music you want, RadioWhat.com. This is Keys Dan.
And this is Shelly G.
And you're listening to
Radio What?
.com.